Welcome to Monster Men.
Hey,
Hans!
It's all about chips, man.
I wish you had some potato chips.
This episode is not about chips.
You're making me nervous now. I don't know where you're looking.
Right, that's the key. What are these, aviators? Is that what they call these?
Those are like knockoff aviators.
Absolutely, because I don't spend good money on sunglasses. So
I
now
feel
you're
like
going to be freaked out wondering where I'm
I feel
looking.
like I need to give you my license and registration.
Have you been drinking?
No. Okay, so I wanted to do this episode for a while because we keep alluding to these kinds of movies, and more of them keep coming out. And then recently, we both checked in with each other, and you had just seen one of the latest of these, and I had just seen one of the best of these. What we're talking about is found footage movies.
Which is an entire genre unto itself.
It is.
With a
So
healthy stable of movies.
Think Blair Witch Project and Paranormal Activity are like your two easiest examples of these kinds of things.
Yep.
The shaky camera and
Kind of nauseating.
some of the characteristics of these things that you always is the moment where nobody would actually leave a camera on when this is happening, yet they do.
Right.
So there's always that moment where you're like, I have to cut them slack because there's no movie if they turn the camera off.
Right.
There's always a little bit of exposition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a Basil exposition character who, has to...
Well, you still have to tell a story arc.
You
You
do.
need those ingredients.
Some of these do it really well. Some of them do it really poorly. We are going to go through a list that we made. This is not every found footage movie ever made. This is just a bunch we're going to talk about. These are the main ones. So, in a recent episode, we recommended a bunch of movies that we think you should watch, and Blair Witch Project and Cloverfield were on that.
He's big into Blair Witch. I'm not.
I love the Blair Witch Project, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Our buddy Morgan,
Thank you, Morgan.
pointed out that a movie called Cannibal Holocaust is really the one King Daddy that started it all. And I can't remember if I've actually seen that movie or not.
You know what? I can't either. When we go to horror cons, we see they have some of the best T-shirts.
I've known of it,
Yeah.
but I'm like, did I say it's like Last House on the Left? I watched that a few years ago because I'm like, I've always been aware of that movie, but I don't know if I actually saw it or not.
Right.
So I finally watched it. I'm like, I don't know if I actually had seen this or not, but holy crap.
I think it might be so disturbing that your brain, if you saw it young enough, it's like, put that in the
I
back.
probably saw a cut version of it.
We don't need to know
on
that.
Channel 9 or something. So Cannibal Holocaust, we can't really talk about it, but we will say that that's sort of the one that started it all, but it's an older movie.
That's
so
for you, Morgan.
go find it. Yeah, Morgan. So then you get to the Blair Witch Project.
Which put my wife in labor.
Which,
I swear to God. It made her nauseous and then we had a baby.
whether you like this movie or not, you have to admire the filmmaking process of the actors go out into the woods with like basic instructions, and then each morning they get notes like in a milk crate. Here's what we want you to do today, or here's the sort of emotions we want you to do, or we want you to be angry today, or we want you, but very broad.
Right.
And then they're like sleeping, and people come up and start shaking the tent. There's one scene in that movie where the tent is shaking, and they all get up and run out, and the girl screams, "What the F was that?" And you could just hear the horror in her voice.
Right.
You watch the director's commentary. Well, off camera, there was like one of the cameramen or sound guys or whatever,
Right.
and he was wearing like all white, and he was just standing there. Well, she just got startled, running out, and just saw this white thing, and it genuinely scared her.
They
as she's
couldn't have
running.
planned that better.
So, the fact that a lot of people thought that movie was real.
Well, what people forget, because we're so immersed in the internet now, that came out when the internet was in its infancy.
Yes.
And they put together the blueprint for how to create a marketing buzz using the internet. I remember we were logging on at work when we barely knew what the hell we were doing, going, there's this movie coming out about this real haunting.
And it was evidence photos and,
right.
and little clips of newsreels and stuff like that. And you were like, what is all this? Then they had on the Sci-Fi Channel like this documentary about the legend of the Blair Witch, like that looked like an old In Search Of episode. That would be what the people from that show would have watched before they went.
Right.
So they learned about the legend.
Companion piece. So, great job they did with working this.
You know, maybe it's not the kind of movie you watch over and over again, but for what it is, it's great. The movie. I want to talk about the recent ones we just watched.
Yeah, we might as well. I mean, I've seen a couple that were actually surprisingly good.
So you talk about the one, because I haven't seen the one that you saw.
I saw, my wife and I saw Apartment 143, which is, you know, this ghost hunter comes with his team to investigate this haunted apartment, and it starts out really creepy. It gets a little crazy in the end, but it just follows the whole ghost hunting, how you go about this, and you've got like the erudite professor who knows everything, and he's nonplussed by what's going on.
And that's Danny Noonan from.
Well, I remember him from Roseanne.
Oh,
he was Jackie's husband on Roseanne.
So he's the paranormal guy.
Yeah. So I mean,
Danny Noonan from Caddyshack.
Exactly. So it was a cool movie. It had a bunch of creepy stuff in it, and it got nuts, but it was cool.
All right, so I got to put that on mine.
The one you should put on your list is Megan is Missing.
I've never even heard of this.
If you're a parent, this is gonna kill you. It's a story of these two girls. They're teenage girls. One is a good girl. One's kind of on the bad side, and one of the girls is abducted. And I can't give away the end, but the last 15 minutes are the most gut-wrenching minutes in horror movie history.
Really?
You are not going to be able to stomach this. When the movie was over, we stopped it, and my wife said, "Call the girls in. We need to talk to them."
Wow.
And we had to have a parent-to-children talk about social networking and strangers.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God. So that
sounds good.
For a horror movie, I'd say it's a must-see, but it's not for everybody. It's really going to flip people out.
Wow.
It's rough.
That's good. I'm going to put that on my list, too.
Yeah.
Now, I had been thinking about doing this episode for a while, and I'm in the library one day, and I saw Apollo 18 was on the shelf. I'm like, I'm going to watch this so that when we do this episode, I'll have seen it. But I heard it sucked. And then I watched it, and I thought it sucked.
Yeah, it kind of...
I loved what it was trying to do, and then...
It didn't follow through. It got silly. It just got a little too silly.
It got silly. It was like, okay, so I'm glad I borrowed it from the library. That I didn't pay to see it. But then, when I went to return it, I went back in, and have you ever seen Quarantine?
I've seen Quarantine, and I loved Quarantine with the girl who's Dexter's sister.
Yes.
Really good, but then I went to see the original.
Which is what I rented Rec 1 and Rec 2. Purely in Spanish with subtitles, which is what Quarantine is a remake of Rec.
Right.
So I'd seen Quarantine in the theater, thought it was fun, didn't like how the trailer kind of gives away a key scene in the movie.
Yep. Yeah, that did kill it.
But I enjoyed the movie. And then I heard that Rec was good, but when you're going to watch a subtitle movie, you have to really commit.
But I will say, if you're going to watch a foreign movie, you got to do the subtitles. You can't do the overdubs because that ruins the whole. You ruined the inflection.
And I'm glad you said that because I come out of Rec going, and you know I love the Blair Witch Project. I think Rec may be the best found footage movie of all of them. So
I
far.
agree.
It is so much fun. There's a moment in that where just pandemonium is happening, and the coordination it took to film the whole thing is a blast. It's kind of a zombie, more like 28 Days Later.
28 Days Later, yeah.
Zombie thing. And then I was thinking about it. I think it being in a foreign language helped it. Because when we're watching a found footage movie, and you get to those painful moments of exposition, because I don't understand what they're saying, I'm not picking up any bad acting. Or that I'm just reading
That's
it.
That's one way to look at it, yeah.
I was like, wow, maybe I'm cutting it slack because I'm not hearing it. Because when you're reading it, you're like, okay, is that what's going on?
Right.
So you watch the first Rec, and again, if I had to make a top list of
I'd put that at number one.
Yeah, probably number one. I mean, I was Quarantine is a good movie, but I wouldn't even, that would be
Rec
lower.
Just happens to be better.
Right. Then you watch Rec 2. It's not as good as Rec, but I love... Did you see Rec 2?
No, and there's Rec 3, too.
Rec 3 is coming out. It is a prequel, I guess. You got to see Wreck 2 because they sort of go into why the zombie thing is happening.
Right.
And the explanation is like nothing you've heard before.
Ooh, cool.
And it's fun. It's, like I said, it's not quite as good as Wreck, but I watched them like, I think 2 days in a row. So I was like, I had my Wreck on.
I may be firing up Wreck 2 on Netflix
It's
when we're
fun.
done if they have
It's
it.
fun. And the I thought it was A for effort for what was behind this virus thing, or the zombie thing. So highly recommend Wreck 1 and 2. Looking forward to Wreck 3.
If you're going to do
prequel.
Foreign movie found footage, Troll Hunter, which is another one, which my wife and I disagreed on this earlier before we started filming. She hated it. I thought it was pretty cool. There's a lot of downtime in it, but...
Is there like a giant troll?
There's giant, enormous trolls in it. It's the most absurd movie, but it kind of works. Again, I think the foreign element to it
The internet buzz on that movie is huge, so...
it's a well-done movie.
So
the acting's
it's worth
really
a
good.
Netflix viewing.
The acting's really good in it, so it's worth it. Trust me.
Let's quickly talk about... There's a couple I want to get to. Paranormal Activity, they just announced in the trailer to the 4th one.
Mm-hmm.
We're rolling our eyes that they're doing a 4th one, except that... We're rolling our eyes. We are, oh God, not another one. Except that the 3rd one was the best of the series, in our opinion.
Yeah, when I first said the fourth, I was like, ugh. I'm like, wait, 3 was good.
So maybe it'll be better. The trailer didn't do much for me, but we'll obviously go see it.
Or maybe even versions stink and odd versions.
Yeah, who knows? The thing I like, I heard a great analogy of the Paranormal Activity movies are the movie equivalent of a Halloween funhouse, a haunted house.
Yeah.
You're set up, the anticipation, you know you're going to go around the corner and somebody in a vampire costume is going to yell boo at you.
Right.
And part of it is the build-up. And it's like they're accessible to non-horror movie fans.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people I know had a tough time sleeping after those movies.
Yeah, so they're for what they are. I don't think they're the greatest, and I never see them on cable.
No, they don't put them on cable.
But now there was a knockoff. What the heck was it called? Paranormal Entity. If you watch Sci-Fi Channel, right after Paranormal Activity, there's like a lower budge version. I would say if you're watching a baseball game and you need something to flick to between innings, that's what they.
But thank you, Sci-Fi, for trying all the time.
Yeah, which I don't think they did it. I think they just show it. But
Jack and I, we saw Devil Inside.
Yeah, well, that's the other two. There was Devil Inside.
Devil Inside was...
And The Last Exorcism, which we kind of forgot. They're both found footage movies.
They're both found footage, and they both deal with Satan. And
Satan.
Both crap the bed in the last few minutes. Both are very good.
I think I like Devil Inside better than Last Exorcism.
I like Last Exorcism longer. For me, Devil Inside fell off the cliff sooner. Last Exorcism didn't die to the last 5 minutes, where I just wanted to just take that DVD
last
and throw it out the window.
That movie.
But the acting in Last Exorcism was probably the best.
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah, the guy was good.
He was fantastic. Grave Encounters.
I haven't seen Grave Encounters, so I have no idea.
Grave Encounters is a cool one. I can't tell whether they are ragging on or it's a tribute to the Ghost Adventures guys.
Oh, jeez.
Because they had the real kind of douchey dude who goes.
I'm right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass, Ghost. So they're kind of locked in this place and they can't get out, and reality's changing in it and stuff.
But it's found footage.
It's found footage, yes.
Oh boy.
It's kind of cheesy, but I don't know. It was funny. I thought it was funny.
Another one I forgot about that you'll probably see your rolling eyes behind your glasses there. This one. I forgot that he made a found footage one, but George Romero of Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead jumped the shark with this one. Diary of the Dead is a found footage zombie film that
is pointless.
I mean,
it was unbelievable.
It is painful, and the best. It's almost so painful. It's fun to watch, like the monologues that the characters give.
The biggest a-holes you could ever find.
Yeah, most unlikable cast.
All jerks, and that was a problem.
Some of the stuff that happened felt like high school kids or elementary, like us with Super 8 movie cameras, like with the the gag that they would pull for like a zombie. You know, you're like, oh, they just like stepped on a water balloon and hit a shower curtain with blood or something like that.
It was bad.
Just terrible. But you're right, the most unlikable.
There was nobody to root for. You just hoped everyone dropped dead.
Now, I guess the last one I want to talk about is it's not quite a horror movie, but it was a superhero found footage movie, Chronicle.
Oh, Chronicle was really cool.
Fun movie. There were definitely moments in that one where you're like, okay, they're filming a little too much here, but you got to roll with it. But special effects were great.
I thought the story was pretty cool. I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, genuinely enjoyed
great
it. So
time.
that's definitely worth watching.
Not as good as the Hunger Games, but it was good.
All of these movies, I think, when you watch a found footage, you have to have that. Okay, I'm going to let that slide a little bit.
Just suspend all your cynicism and let it fly. This is what I tell people all the time.
So, okay, so that's our found footage. Wait, let's end this like the Blair Witch Project. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Should I go stand in the corner?
Nice.
Spoiler
alert!
Before we leave you, I just want to let you know this is the comic book update. For you comic book fans out there, I'm looking for great horror comics.
Oh yes.
Jack and I, Kolchak, the Night Stalker comic. Oh my god. This is put out by Moonstone. It's black and white, glossy black and white, and I gotta tell you, it is spot on. They captured the essence of Carl Kolchak.
Carl Kolchak is the king. If anybody who watches the show or knows me and him knows. The Night Stalker is the king daddy for us.
He's everything to us.
Also, any quality.
He's our spaghetti monster.
And Darren McGavin was so good as Kolchak that to capture him in a comic book, if you're giving it that high a praise, it's got to be good.
Great job. I caught it on issue number 3. I got to find 2 and 1. But awesome. Fantastic.
Cool. All right. That's our episode for this time, and we'll see you next time on
Monster Men.
Grr, arg.